right off the bat, want to show you this incredible clip. Shaney is making incredible content, just period, on the internet. But this week, he donned a really fun t-shirt and went out to the streets to ask people about the senile nature of the people running for president. Check out this double standard.
I don't know if you saw, but they just said that Trump can't be prosecuted because he's senile. And I personally think that he shouldn't be allowed to run for president. Do you agree?
I do.
Why?
Because I think we had our 4 years with Trump, and that was 4 too many.
Yeah? What were some of the things you don't like about him?
Thoughts on immigration would be one.
Yeah, like I think we should have the border completely wide open, you know? Like just let anybody in, no matter where they're from, right? Even if they're terrorists or Hamas or anything, they should be allowed to come in.
There would be some nuances to that. And as an academic advisor, I can't go too far into it.
Because Trump is pretty senile, the way that they can't charge him.
I gotta go. Thank you.
Oh, wait, you gotta go? You know that it was actually Biden that they said was senile and they can't charge him.
Oh, thank you.
Are you senile? Huh. That's wild.
As an academic advisor, I can't go too far into that because if people knew what an academic advisor actually thought about things, people might not trust academia.
I just love the moment. You can see the exact moment in that video. This woman realizes that she's being trolled. She's like all in for the first half of the video. And then she goes, and then all of a sudden her brain just unravels and she's like, I gotta get out of here. I'm about to be the next viral clip on the internet.
Who is this guy? He's funny.
So he's a young Gen Z conservative content creator. He's made some really fun videos in the last couple of months, this man on the street type stuff, but also did a really fun video with Vivek Ramaswamy standing out in the snow. You might have seen that one because it got like millions of views on social media. But this is his new thing. He'll don a super progressive looking t-shirt and go to the streets to talk to people about the ridiculous double standard of our country.
I mean, joking aside for just a second, the fact that the Department of Justice basically said they can't charge Biden with anything, and I don't think they were going to charge him with anything either way, but they were just like kind of looking for some out, that in essence they said he's a nice, confused, elderly man. Like, he's just not really up to snuff. Like, that's basically what they said.
Oh, no, it was worse than that. They didn't even say,
oh,
he's just a nice man. They said, no, he's literally so far gone that if we charged him with a crime, a jury would not be able to find him guilty because he can't even remember important details about his own family. Like, this man needs to be in a memory care facility. So we're just not going to charge him with anything. Cool, thanks, bye. But the question everybody should be asking from the DOJ report from last week is not why did they even make this report or how did they come to this consensus or what the content even is, because we already knew all of that. You'd have to be actually blind not to see how completely incompetent this administration is. The question is, why did they drop it when they did?
Well, it just seems fairly obvious to me. The system is basically done with him, and now it's going through the machinations behind the scene on how you actually make the move, because whether it's the Kamala thing or Gavin or Hillary's return or Big Mike or whoever it is, it's like you got to figure out all of that stuff. How many people watching you think understand the reference to Big Mike there?
I'm sure all of your fan base.
Yeah, my people do. I don't know about your people. Everyone in this room gets it.
But
well, also, I think I said it to you yesterday, but the fact that they put him out, so they released this thing Thursday afternoon, as you said, but then they put him out there for this press conference at 7:30, and it was just so damn obvious. I mean, if you've watched any of these press conferences, you know how it operates. He gets up there, you know, he's got that sheet of paper, it's about this big. He knows exactly who he's calling on and what they're going to be talking about and everything else, but for some reason, when it's about him having pudding for a brain, they send him up there and every single question was about his mental acuity. And he flubbed virtually every answer when it came to that. But have you seen the new sort of meme that's floating out there now? Is that it's not really his pudding brain that's the problem. The trick is now going to be, yes, Biden is old, but Trump is only 4 years younger. So it really doesn't make a difference whether you're 81 or 77. And by the way, in and of itself, it doesn't make a difference. That's not what the issue is. The issue is that you could be a very spry 81 and a very old 77. In this case, there's just no doubt, regardless of policies or anything else, that Trump is way more intellectually capable to say the least, than Joe Biden at this point. Whether you like Trump or not, or you like the way he speaks or not. And by the way, he seems to me, has lost just a little bit as well. But that's the meme, is now going to be they're both old. And I think it might be two birds with one stone. It seems to me that's what the system's doing. Like, let's just take them both out at the same time.
Oh, I have so much to say based on that. Going back to the press conference, just so people understand how weird and wild out of left field this actually was, can you think of any other example where they have had an unscheduled press conference just pop up in the evening? This White House normally calls a lid at like 2 p.m. because he goes to sleep probably in the evening. And they said to the press, ask whatever you want. Ask any question. Nothing is off limits. Obviously, they're going to ask about that report that dropped hours before. And then they like made him really angry. I don't know who said something to him right before this press conference, but every single question, he was viscerally angry and screaming at all of these reporters, having a complete temper tantrum meltdown behind the podium. It was just a really bad look, which tells me that either A, they have no idea what they're doing, and this is just criminal levels of incompetence, or B, they threw him out there to the pack of wolves on purpose because they wanted him to look really bad so that now they can usher in whoever the replacement's going to be. But that's interesting about this. They're both old, so they're both bad thing. I wonder how much the powers that be pulling all of the levers behind the scenes are realizing that the vast majority of voters in America, regardless of party, have been saying this, it's time for a new generation of leadership tagline. They're seeing that work really well on the right now. Not so much in determining who our candidate is going to be for the primary, but just in general when it comes to content that's doing really well, interviews on TV, speeches that politicians are giving. This new generation of leadership tagline has been adopted by many, many, many of the campaigns. And I wonder now if they're going to use that to say, yeah, well, we listened to those concerns, so we booted the old guy, but now it's your turn.
Right. Well, it feels like that's getting in the ether right now. And what it reminds me of sort of is like there are some things that just, there's an airlock till they break into the mainstream. And do you remember, I know you remember this, but like for that first year of COVID, when more people started saying online more and more, just like, maybe it's a lab leak. And it was just like being bounced around a little bit online. People would say it more and more. And then it started gaining steam and gaining steam and gaining steam. And then there was one night where Jon Stewart went on Stephen Colbert and said that it was probably a lab leak. It's called the Wuhan virus, and it came from the Wuhan lab of virology in Wuhan, China, blah, blah. And then suddenly the next day, mainstream media, everybody was like, oh, it's likely a lab leak. But Jon Stewart's first monologue was exactly this. It was, Joe Biden's old, but Donald Trump is old too. He actually, I watched the whole thing. He actually hits Biden more aggressively than you might think from Jon Stewart. But Jon Stewart is a far left wackadoodle at this point. So I have no doubt he's on team take out Biden. Let's get someone crazier in, which, by the way, that is the risk more than anything else with getting rid of Biden right now. You either end up with Kamala or even someone wackier than that. Because who the hell is there? Who is left?
It's a very small list of people. And honestly, the vice president's not on it because she's not electable. So I talked about this on my live stream yesterday. Obviously, for media purposes, this is all speculation. This is all allegedly this is going to happen. But here's my thought.
Wait, do you feel that we need to qualify it with that? We're not just
I got a long lecture from my lawyer parents about how I need media liability insurance if I'm going to keep talking about conspiracy theories. So yeah, allegedly.
Yes, allegedly.
Thanks, Mom and Dad. You guys are the best. Anyway, I think they're going to wait. They're going to wait to have him leave the White House or invoke the 25th Amendment or whatever step they end up taking to get him out of office until after the primary elections are done, because they can't really run the risk of somebody else's name being on a ballot. They could have the vice president start challenging that at the election level. They could have a different name come in way out of left field. RFK could do a whole lot better than what they're expecting him to do if that was the case on ballots. So they need Joe Biden's name on a ballot to make everybody think this is just going to stay the way it is. It's a really stable country. We're all fine. But the DNC has different rules than the RNC. So it doesn't matter if every single ballot of every single primary election was the same result. Theoretically, they could just usher in whoever they want at the convention in August. So they'll wait till like late June, early July to have him leave, exit stage left. Kamala will be president for like 9 months. She'll get her 5 seconds of fame. They'll be able to say we have the first woman president, first woman of color president, especially. It's so important. And I anticipate they'll probably bring up Mayor Pete or I guess now Secretary Pete as the VP so that they can say we had the first gay vice president. Also, what an exciting administration. And then at the DNC in August, they'll probably usher out Michelle Obama and Gavin Newsom, who are most likely electable out of everybody else in a general.